My wife spent $47,000 of our money getting plastic surgery to look younger for her lover. She's a marriage therapist who counsels couples on trust and fidelity. When she ignored my warning and drove to our cottage with him, I was already there waiting with his wife, his kids, and his parents. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 44 years old, and 3 months ago, I learned that the woman sleeping beside me had been lying to my face for the better part of a year. Her name is Rebecca, but everyone calls her Becca. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist with her own practice downtown. The irony isn't lost on me. She spent her days helping couples communicate, helping families heal, while systematically dismantling ours. It started small, late sessions that ran later, weekend seminars that required overnight stays, a new fitness routine that had her up at 5 a.m. for spin classes I never saw her attend. She bought new clothes, expensive ones, things that didn't match her usual style. When I asked about it, she said she was investing in herself, reclaiming her identity after years of just being mom and wife. I believed her because I wanted to, because doubting her meant doubting everything. The truth came through our joint bank account. I'm a numbers guy, always have been. I review her statements monthly, not because I don't trust her, but because it's second nature. That's when I noticed it. $47,000, moved in small increments over 8 months to an account I didn't recognize. Not stolen exactly, but redirected. When I traced the withdrawals, they lined up perfectly with her so-called seminars and late sessions. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I did what I do best. I investigated. I documented. I watched. And I found Francis Hampton, a 46-year-old sales director for a pharmaceutical company. Married, 2 kids, the kind of guy who wore designer watches and drove a leased BMW like it proved something. They met at a conference 18 months ago. By month 3, they were meeting twice a week at hotels I'd never heard of. By month 6, she'd stopped wearing her wedding ring when she left for work. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. I was reviewing case files in my home office when Becca walked in holding her phone, already dressed in hiking boots, and that new North Face jacket I'd never seen her wear on an actual hike. "I'm heading up to the cottage this weekend," she said, casual as ordering coffee. "Francis and I are working on a collaborative workshop series. We need uninterrupted time to finalize the structure. Our cottage, the place we bought 15 years ago with money from my father's estate, the place where we'd taught Aria and Jake to fish, where we'd spent every 4th of July watching fireworks over the lake." I looked up from my laptop. "Francis Hampton." She blinked just once, but I caught it. "Yes, you met him. Last year's charity gala." I had met him. Shook his hand. Watch him laugh at my jokes like we were old friends. I stood slowly, keeping my voice level. "If you go to our cottage with him, we're done." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Dan, don't be dramatic. It's a work trip." "I'm not being dramatic," I said. "I'm being clear. You go to our cottage with Francis Hampton, and this marriage is over." Her face hardened. "You don't get to issue ultimatums." I just did. She stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked out. I heard her car start 5 minutes later. By noon, I confirmed through the cottage security app that she disarmed the system. By 2 p.m., I made 6 phone calls. By Thursday, I had my bags packed. Because here's what Becca didn't know. I found more than just bank statements. I'd found the prenuptial agreement we'd updated 5 years ago when we refinanced the cottage. Section 7, subsection 3. Infidelity clause with property reassignment triggered upon marital property misuse. Our lawyer had insisted on it. I thought it was overkill. I was wrong. The thing about being a risk manager is you learn to see patterns before they become problems. You analyze data points, cross-reference timelines, build models that predict behavior. I'd spent 20 years doing it for insurance claims. Turned out the same skills applied to tracking a cheating spouse. I started with the bank statements. $47,000 doesn't just disappear. It leaves a trail, and Becca's trail led straight to a clinic I'd never heard of. Radiance Medical Aesthetics on the north side of town. High-end place, the kind that doesn't list prices on their website, because if you have to ask, you can't afford it. I called them Tuesday afternoon, pretending to be following up on my wife's appointment history for insurance purposes. The receptionist was helpful, probably too helpful. Mrs. Carter had been a valued client for 11 months. Botox, dermal fillers, laser skin resurfacing, a mini facelift last April. Total charges, $42,000. The remaining 5,000 went to a personal trainer and a boutique she'd been visiting monthly. She was trying to look younger. Not for me. For him. I sat in my home office staring at the receipts I'd printed, and something shifted in my chest. Not anger yet, just cold clarity. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was calculated. She'd been planning this, funding it with our money, restructuring herself for a man who already had a wife. My daughter Arya knocked on the doorframe. She was 16, tall like her mother, with my dark hair and her mother's sharp eyes. "Dad, you okay?" she asked quietly. I looked up. "Come in. Close the door." She did, moving carefully like she already knew something was wrong. Kids always know. "I need to tell you something," I said, "and I need you to keep it between us for now. Can you do that?" Arya nodded, sitting in the chair across from my desk. "Your mother is having an affair," I said simply. No point sugarcoating it. "With a man named Francis Hampton. They're planning to spend this weekend at our cottage." Her face went pale, but she didn't cry. "How long have you known?" 3 months. "I've been gathering evidence." "Does Jake know?" "Not yet. I'll tell him tomorrow." I paused. "This weekend, I need you both to come with me to the cottage. Your mother doesn't know we'll be there. Neither does Francis. But his wife and kids will be." Arya's eyes widened. "You're setting them up." "I'm revealing the truth," I corrected. "There's a difference." She was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she asked, "What do you need me to do?" "Just be there. Support your brother." "And Arya?" I met her eyes. "I know you're on social media. I know you have a large following. If you happen to document what happens this weekend, I won't stop you. But that's your choice." She understood immediately. "Instagram live. Only if you think it's appropriate," I said carefully. "I won't ask you to do it, but I won't tell you not to either." Arya stood, walked around the desk, and hugged me. "She's wrong, Dad. Whatever she told herself to justify this, she's wrong." After she left, I made more calls. Francis Hampton's wife, Elena, answered on the second ring. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she said simply, "What time should we arrive?" Francis's parents were harder to track down, but I managed. His father, a retired veteran, said he'd suspected something was off. They'd be there Saturday morning. Then I called Amanda, Becca's younger sister. She picked up cheerfully until I told her why I was calling. "You're lying," she said immediately. "Becca wouldn't." "She borrowed $15,000 from you 8 months ago," I said. "Told you it was for a business investment opportunity. Did she pay you back?" Silence. "Amanda, that money went to cosmetic procedures. Botox, fillers, surgery. She's been trying to look 20 instead of 42. For him." I heard her breathing change, anger replacing denial. "I want that money back. Come to the cottage Saturday," I said. "Bring the loan documents if you have them. You can ask her yourself." One by one, I assembled the witnesses. Not for revenge. For accountability. We arrived at the cottage Friday afternoon, 3 hours before Becca's expected arrival. The drive up had been quiet. Arya sat in the passenger seat scrolling through her phone, while Jake sprawled in the back with his headphones on. He'd taken the news harder than his sister, spent most of Thursday in his room. But when I'd asked if he wanted to come, he'd just nodded and packed his bag. The cottage looked exactly as we'd left it last summer. 2 stories of weathered cedar overlooking the lake, a wraparound deck, a dock stretching into dark water. I'd built half of it myself 15 years ago, spent weekends hauling lumber and driving nails until my hands bled. Becca used to bring me lemonade and kiss my forehead, tell me I was building our future. Guess she'd found a different future. I unlocked the door and immediately checked the security system. Disarmed at 11:30 this morning. She was already here, probably upstairs in the master bedroom. The bedroom where we'd conceived both our children. "Dad," Arya whispered, pointing toward the deck. Through the glass doors, I could see 2 figures. Becca in a sundress I'd never seen before, and Francis Hampton, shirtless, holding a glass of wine. They were laughing. I felt Jake tense beside me, but I put a hand on his shoulder. "Not yet," I said quietly. "Let them enjoy it. They won't be laughing long." We moved through the cottage silently, setting up in the guest rooms downstairs. I just finished unpacking when I heard gravel crunching in the driveway. Right on schedule. Elena Hampton's SUV pulled up first. She stepped out wearing jeans and a calm expression that reminded me of a surgeon preparing for a delicate operation. Behind her, Two kids emerged. Lily, 13, clutching a backpack. Owen, 11, looking confused but obedient. I walked out to meet them. Mrs. Hampton. Mr. Carter, she replied, shaking my hand. Thank you for the invitation. Call me Dan. And thank you for coming. She glanced at the cottage. Are they inside? On the back deck. They don't know you're here yet. Elena smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Good. 20 minutes later, Francis's parents arrived. His father, a stern man in his 70s named Harold, parked his truck and surveyed the cottage like he was assessing enemy territory. His mother, Grace, looked sad but determined. I gathered everyone in the living room, while Beck and Francis remained oblivious outside. Arya had positioned herself by the front window, phone in hand. Here's how this works, I said, keeping my voice low. They think they have the place to themselves. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to walk out there and invite them inside for dinner. That's when they'll see all of you. Elena nodded. And then we have a conversation, I said. A very honest one. Harold Hampton spoke up, his voice gravelly. That boy of mine always thought he was smarter than everybody else. Time somebody showed him different. I checked my watch. Arya, Jake, stay with the Hamptons for now. When I wave, come out. I walked through the cottage toward the back deck, my heart steady despite everything. This was it, the moment I've been planning for weeks. I slid open the glass door. Becca turned, wine glass frozen halfway to her lips. Dan, what are you doing here? Francis scrambled to his feet, grabbing for his shirt. I live here, I said simply. Well, I own it anyway. Thought I'd come up for the weekend. Hope you don't mind. You can't just, Becca started. Actually, I can, I interrupted. It's my property. But don't worry, I brought company. Wanted to make it a real family gathering. I stepped aside and waved toward the house. That's when Elena Hampton walked out onto the deck, followed by her children. Then Francis's parents. Then Arya and Jake. Francis went white. Elena? What are you? How did you? Hello, Francis, Elena said calmly. Surprised to see me? Becca's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the deck. She looked from Elena to me, to the children, standing in awkward silence. I warned you, I said quietly, meeting Becca's eyes. I told you exactly what would happen if you came here with him. I was already here, waiting, with his wife, his kids, and his family. The silence that followed could have swallowed sound itself. Nobody moved for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. Becca stood frozen in her new sundress, pieces of shattered wine glass glittering around her bare feet. Francis had managed to pull his shirt on, but hadn't buttoned it, his hands shaking too badly. Elena Hampton broke the silence first. Well, she said pleasantly, since we're all here, we might as well eat. Dan mentioned something about grilling salmon. I nodded, grateful for her composure. Already marinating in the fridge. Should be ready in 20 minutes. I'll help with sides, Grace Hampton offered, Francis's mother moving past her son without looking at him. Becca found her voice, though it came out strangled. This is insane. You can't just ambush us like this. Ambush. Harold Hampton spoke from the doorway, his veteran's posture rigid. Son, you're sleeping with another man's wife in that man's house, and you think he's ambushing you? Francis opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Everyone inside, I said, my tone leaving no room for argument. We're going to sit down like adults and have a conversation. Then we're going to have dinner. Then we're going to figure out what happens next. Arya appeared beside me, phone discreetly angled. She'd already started streaming. I could tell by the way she positioned herself. I caught Jake's eye and he moved closer to Lily and Owen Hampton, who looked lost. You okay? Jake asked them quietly. Owen shook his head. Lily just stared at her father with an expression that would haunt me later. We assembled in the living room. I'd arranged the furniture earlier so everyone had a seat, but no one could avoid eye contact. Beck and Francis ended up on the love seat, surrounded on 3 sides. Elena sat directly across from them, her children flanking her. I took the chair nearest the fireplace, Arya and Jake on the sofa to my right. Harold and Grace Hampton stood by the bookshelf, watching their son like disappointed gods. So, Elena began, her voice steady. How long has this been going on? Francis looked at the floor. Becca looked at me, like I might somehow save her. 18 months. I answered for them. They met at conference. By month 3, They were meeting twice a week. Hotels mostly. 3 different ones, rotating to avoid patterns. Becca's face flushed. How do you? Credit card statements, I said. Text message logs. Cloud backups. You forgot to turn off location sharing. Becca, I've known for 3 months. I just wanted to make sure I had everything before we had this conversation. You spied on me, she whispered. You stole from me. I counter, my voice still calm. $47,000 from our joint account over 8 months. Want to guess where it went? She didn't answer. Radiance Medical Aesthetics. I continued. Botox, fillers, laser treatments, a mini facelift last April. $42,000 trying to look younger. The other $5,000 went to a personal trainer and new clothes. Elena turned to Francis. You knew about this? He stammered. I didn't ask her to. You didn't have to ask, Elena interrupted. She did it for you. Spent her family's money trying to be 20 again instead of 42. That's dedication. Aria's phone was steady, capturing everything. I knew her followers were watching this unfold in real time. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, seeing exactly what betrayal looked like when you dragged it into the light. Grace Hampton finally spoke, her voice soft but cutting. Rebecca, does your family know you're here? Becca looked up, confused by the question. My family? What does that have to do with? Your sister Amanda is driving up tonight, I said. She'll be here by 8. Wants to talk to you about the $15,000 you borrowed for a business investment. The money that actually paid for your cosmetic procedures. The color drained from Becca's face. Dinner was salmon with roasted vegetables, a meal I'd prepared 100 times in this kitchen. I grilled outside while the adults sat in uncomfortable silence. Nobody willing to leave, nobody knowing what to say. The smell of cedar smoke and lemon drifted through the evening air. While I brought the food inside, I found the kids missing. All 4 of them gone. Where did they go? Becca asked, her voice tight with panic. The dock, Aria called from the window. They're talking. I walked to the glass doors and looked out. Under the last rays of sunset, 4 figures sat at the end of the dock, legs dangling over dark water. Jake and Owen on one side, Aria and Lily on the other. They were too far away to hear, but I could see gestures, heads nodding, Lily wiping her eyes. Leave them, Elena said quietly from behind me. They need this. We ate in shifts, adults first, keeping watch through the window. Francis tried to speak twice, but his father shut him down with a look. Becca picked at her food, glancing between me and Elena like we were predators circling. After 30 minutes, the kids came back. They walked in together, a united front, and something in their posture had shifted. Aria led them, chin up, phone still recording. They positioned themselves in the living room, standing rather than sitting. We want to say something, Aria announced. Everyone stopped. Even Becca and Francis looked up from their plates. Jake spoke next, his 14-year-old voice steady despite the tremor underneath. We talked, all of us, about what you did, what it means, and what we want. Lily Hampton stepped forward, her 13-year-old face streaked with dried tears but determined. Mom, we love you. But Dad. She turned to Francis. We don't want to live with you anymore. Francis's fork clattered onto his plate. Lily, you don't mean that. Yes, I do, she said firmly. Owen nodded beside her. Owen, the youngest at 11, found his voice. You lied to Mom. You lied to us. Every time you said you were working late or traveling for business, you were with her. He pointed at Becca without looking at her. You chose her over us. That's not true, Francis protested, standing. I love you both. I never chose. You chose every day. Aria interrupted, her phone still recording. Every time you texted her during dinner. Every Sunday at 10 p.m. Every hotel room you paid for with money that should have gone to your family. Those were choices. Elena's hand went to her mouth, but she didn't cry. She just watched her children claim their truth. Jake turned to Becca. Mom, I've been thinking about this since Dad told me. Try and understand why you do this. I kept asking myself what we did wrong, what Dad did wrong, why we weren't enough. Jake, sweetie, you are enough, Becca said desperately. This has nothing to do with you and Aria. It has everything to do with us. Jake cut her off. You spent our college fund, making yourself look younger for him. You lied to us for 18 months. You brought him into our lives, our home, our family, and you pretended everything was fine. Becca opened her mouth, But Arya stepped forward. "We recorded everything tonight," my daughter said, holding up her phone. "The whole confrontation. It's been streaming live to my Instagram for the past 2 hours. 32,000 people have watched it. Your clients, your colleagues, your professional network, they've all seen what kind of therapist you really are." Becca's face went white. "You didn't. Arya, tell me you didn't." "I did," Arya said simply. "Because people deserve to know the truth. Your patients trust you with their marriages, their families, their deepest problems. They should know you can't even be honest in your own." That's a violation of my privacy," Becca stammered. "Like stealing $47,000 wasn't a violation of our family." Jake shot back. The 4 kids stood together, presenting a united front that neither Becca nor Francis could break through. In that moment, they looked older than their years, aged by betrayal but stronger for facing it together. Harold Hampton spoke from his chair, his veteran's voice carrying weight. "Son, you've lost your children's respect. That's something you can't buy back, can't apologize away. You'll spend the rest of your life trying to rebuild what you destroyed tonight." Francis sank back into his chair, his face buried in his hands. Elena stood, placing a hand on each of her children's shoulders. "Thank you," she said softly, "for being braver than your father." Amanda arrived at 8:30, her car's headlights sweeping across the cottage like a searchlight. I watched from the deck as Becca's younger sister stepped out, her expression somewhere between confusion and fury. She'd driven 3 hours, and I'd given her just enough information to ensure she'd come. "Where is she?" Amanda demanded as I opened the front door. "Living room," I said. "But Amanda, her parents are on their way too. Should be here within the hour." She stopped mid-stride. "You called Mom and Dad." "I called your father," I corrected. "Told him everything. He said they'd come immediately." Amanda's eyes widened. "This is going to destroy Mom." "Becca did that," I said quietly. "Not me." We walked inside together. Becca saw her sister and immediately stood, relief washing over her face. "Amanda, thank God. Tell them this is insane. Tell them Rob is having some kind of breakdown." "Where's my $15,000? Amanda interrupted. Becca froze. "What?" "The money I loaned you last year," Amanda continued, her voice hard. "For your certification course. The one that was supposed to help you expand your practice. Where is it?" "I told you, it's tied up in the investment." "Don't lie to me," Amanda said, pulling out her phone. "Rob sent me receipts. Eternal Youth Medical Aesthetics. Botox, fillers, laser treatments, a surgical facelift. You spent my money making yourself look younger for him." She pointed at Francis, who shrank under her gaze. "Amanda, I can explain," Becca tried. "Explain what? That you lied to your sister? That you stole from your husband? That you abandoned your children for an affair?" Amanda's voice broke. "I defended you, Becca. When people gossiped about how much time you spent with clients, when neighbors asked why you were never home, I defended you. And the whole time, you were doing this." Before Becca could respond, headlights flooded the driveway again. 2 cars this time. Richard and Patricia Hartwell climbed out of the first, Becca's parents looking aged and exhausted. Patricia rushed inside first, going straight for Becca. "Baby, what's happening?" Richard said something terrible, but I told him it couldn't be true. "It's true," Richard said heavily, following his wife inside. He looked at me first, then at his daughter. "All of it." Patricia's face crumpled. "Becca, no. Please tell me you didn't." "Mom, I can explain everything," Becca started, her voice desperate. "It's not what it looks like. It looks like you destroyed your marriage," Richard said bluntly. "It looks like you spent your family's money on another man. It looks like you lied to everyone who trusted you." He turned to me. "Dan, I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry." "Dad, you don't understand," Becca pleaded. "Dan and we've been distant for years. He's always working, never home. I work to provide for this family," I said calmly. "To pay for this cottage, for the kids' school, for your practice startup costs. I worked so you could build the career you wanted." Richard looked at his daughter with disappointment, so profound it was painful to witness. "Your mother and I have been married 43 years. There were times I wanted to quit, times she wanted to quit, times we were so angry we couldn't speak. But we never betrayed each other. We never broke our vows." "Richard, please," Patricia begged, reaching for his arm. "We need to support our daughter." "Support her in what?" Richard pulled away. "In adultery? In theft. In destroying her children's trust. He shook his head. No, Patricia. I won't do it. Patricia stared at her husband. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm done, Richard said quietly. I've been done for a while now, if I'm honest. I stayed because I thought family was supposed to stay together no matter what. But watching our daughter do this, seeing her justify it, lie about it, blame her husband for her choices. He looked at Patricia. It showed me something. It showed me that staying in a broken situation doesn't fix it. It just makes you complicit. You're leaving me? Patricia whispered. Now, because of this, I'm leaving because I finally have the clarity to do what I should have done years ago, Richard said. He turned to me. Dan, I'll testify if you need it. Divorce proceedings, custody hearings, whatever you need. My daughter made her choices. Now she lives with them. He walked out, leaving Patricia standing in the middle of the living room, her world visibly shattering. Amanda moved to comfort her mother, but the damage was done. Becca had destroyed more than her marriage. She'd fractured her entire family tree. Sunday morning arrived with fog rolling off the lake, the kind of thick gray that muted sound and made everything feel suspended in time. I woke at 6, made coffee, and sat on the deck watching the mist slowly burn away. Inside, the cottage was still quiet. Elena and her kids had taken the upstairs guest rooms. Frances slept on the couch, exiled from everywhere else. Becca had locked herself in our daughter's old room after midnight, unable to face anyone. By 7, my phone started buzzing. First, an email from my attorney confirming receipt of all documentation I'd sent Friday night. Then a text from HR at Becca's practice, requesting an emergency meeting Monday morning. Then a call from the state licensing board for marriage and family therapists. I answered the last one. Mr. Carter, this is Margaret Stevens from the Board of Behavioral Sciences, a professional voice said. We've received multiple complaints regarding Dr. Rebecca Carter's professional conduct. Given the nature of these complaints and the video evidence circulating online, we're initiating an immediate investigation. What does that mean for her license? I asked, though I already knew. Pending investigation, her license will be suspended. If the allegations are substantiated, particularly regarding financial misconduct and the ethical violation of conducting an extramarital affair while counseling couples on marital fidelity, her license will be permanently revoked. I thanked her and hung up. Through the glass doors, I saw Becca emerge from the bedroom, her face swollen from crying, yesterday's makeup smeared. She looked 10 years older than she had Friday morning, all that expensive cosmetic work unable to hide the damage of consequences. She saw me on the deck and came outside, wrapping her arms around herself against the morning chill. The licensing board called you, she said. It wasn't a question. They did. I'm going to lose everything, aren't I? Her voice was hollow. My practice, my license, my career. You lost at the moment you chose him over your family, I said quietly. The licensing board is just making it official. Dan, please. She moved closer. We can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through it. I'll end things with Frances immediately. Cut off all contact. You're a therapist, Becca. You know that ship sailed 18 months ago. I stood, creating distance between us. But let's talk about what you really lost. Not your career, not your license. Those are just consequences. You lost your children's trust. You lost your sister's respect. You lost your father's support. You lost your marriage. Our marriage can be saved, she insisted. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small jewelry box. Opened it. Inside, 2 gold bands melted down into formless lumps, barely recognizable as rings anymore. I had these done Friday afternoon, I said. 19 years of marriage, reduced to 34 grams of gold. That's what you wanted, right? To start fresh, be young again, pretend the past didn't exist. She stared at the melted metal, her hand reaching toward it, then falling away. The prenuptial agreement we signed 15 years ago is very clear, I continued. Infidelity involving marital property misuse triggers a complete forfeiture clause. This cottage, our house, the investment accounts, even your practice equipment that I financed, all of it reverts to me. You get nothing. You can't do that, she whispered. Already did. My attorney filed the paperwork Friday. You'll be served tomorrow. I closed the box. You wanted to know what you lost? Everything, Becca. You lost everything. Amanda appeared in the doorway, her expression hard. Becca, We need to talk about my $15,000. I don't have it, Becca said automatically. Then you'll pay me back in installments, Amanda said. I already contacted an attorney. You'll be hearing from them about a payment plan, and if you don't comply, I'll file a civil suit. Family or not, I want my money back. Becca looked between us, trapped. You're all against me. My own family. No, I corrected. We're all holding you accountable. There's a difference. By noon Sunday, the cottage had cleared out. Elena Hampton packed up her kids and left first, stopping only to shake my hand and thank me for the truth. Harold and Grace followed, his father's last words to Francis still hanging in the air. You're 46 years old, and you just destroyed everything that mattered. Think about that. Francis himself left shortly after, driving away alone in his BMW, his phone blowing up with calls he wasn't answering. Probably his job, probably his friends, probably everyone who'd seen Aria's Instagram live and wanted explanations he couldn't provide. Amanda stayed to help her mother pack. Patricia had decided to return home alone, leaving Richard to his decision. The two women moved through the cottage like ghosts, neither speaking much, both processing the wreckage of multiple families. I found Aria and Jake on the dock, sitting where they talked with the Hampton kids yesterday. You guys okay? I asked, settling beside them. Define okay, Aria said, but she leaned against my shoulder. Jake stared at the water. Is Mom really going to lose her license? Probably, I admitted. What she did violated professional ethics codes. The board won't overlook it. Good, Aria said fiercely. She deserves it. Maybe, I said carefully. But she's still your mother. You're allowed to be angry and sad at the same time. Are you? Jake asked. Angry and sad. I thought about it. Mostly tired. And disappointed. I spent 19 years building a life with someone who threw it away for something that was never going to last. Do you still love her? Aria's question was quiet. I love who I thought she was, I said. But that person might never have existed. And I can't love someone who doesn't exist. We sat in silence for a while, watching the lake. The fog finally burned away completely. Then Jake spoke again. Dad, Lily, and Owen Hampton gave me their numbers. Said we should stay in touch. That we get in a way other kids won't. That's good, I said. Hold on to that. You're going to need friends who understand. Aria's Instagram blew up, Jake added. Like, millions of views now. People are calling her a hero for exposing Mom. I looked at my daughter. How do you feel about that? She shrugged. Weird. I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just wanted people to know the truth. Sometimes that's the same thing, I said. Becca appeared on the deck, her bags packed, her sister waiting by the car. She looked toward us, and for a moment I thought she might walk down to the dock, might try to apologize or explain or beg for forgiveness. But she didn't. She just stood there, watching her family from a distance she'd created herself. Then she got into Amanda's car, and they drove away. She didn't even say goodbye, Jake said. Maybe she knew you wouldn't want to hear it, I replied. We stayed on the dock until sunset, the three of us together, processing the end of one chapter and the uncertain beginning of another. The cottage behind us felt different now, less like a sanctuary and more like a crime scene. But it was still ours, still home. What happens now? Aria asked as the sky turned orange and pink. Now we rebuild, I said. The three of us. No lies, no secrets, no pretending things are fine when they're not. Can we do that? Jake's voice was small. We have to, I said. Because the alternative is letting what she did destroy us too. And I won't give her that power. They both nodded, and we sat together until the stars came out. A smaller family than we'd been, but maybe, eventually, a stronger one. 3 days after everyone left, Francis Hampton showed up at the cottage. I was on the deck reviewing insurance case files when I heard his car pull up, that same BMW that had been parked here Friday like he owned the place. He climbed out looking worse than when he'd left Sunday. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled, eyes hollow. I met him at the door before he could knock. You're not welcome here. I need to talk to Becca, he said, his voice hoarse. She won't answer my calls. She's not here. She's staying with Amanda until she finds an apartment. And even if she was here, you think I'd let you see her? Damn, please. I need to explain. Explain what? I asked, keeping my voice level. That you're 46 years old with 2 kids and a wife, and you threw it all away for an affair with a married therapist? That you spent 18 months lying to everyone who trusted you? What exactly do you want to explain? He sagged against the doorframe. I lost everything. My job fired me yesterday. They found personal charges on my corporate card, hotels and restaurants for Becca and me. $23,000 of company money. They're pressing charges. Good. Elena took the kids to her parents in Oregon. Filed for divorce, full custody, restraining order. I can't even talk to Lily and Owen without a lawyer present. They don't want to talk to you, I said. They told you that to your face Saturday night. My parents won't speak to me. My friends won't return my calls. Everyone saw that video, Dan. Everyone knows what I did. He looked up, and I saw something break in his face. It was supposed to be different. Becca and we were supposed to be different. Different how? I asked. Different from every other affair that ends in disaster? You're not special, Francis. You're just another middle-aged man who thought he could escape consequences. She said she loved me, he whispered. She said you didn't understand her, that you were cold and distant, that she'd wasted her life with you. And you believed her because it made you feel important, I said. Made you feel like the hero instead of the homewrecker. But here's the truth, Francis. She lied to you the same way she lied to me. You were never special to her. You were just available. He flinched like I'd struck him. Want proof? I pulled out my phone, opened a folder I'd been saving. These are text messages between Becca and her friend Michelle from March. 6 months into your affair. She calls you harmless fun and says you're not someone she'd actually leave for. Says you're too eager, too desperate, that the affair is just about feeling young again. I watched the color drain from his face as he read. She played you, I said quietly. Used you to feel attractive and wanted, spent my money to look the part, and never intended to actually be with you. You destroyed your marriage for someone who was never going to choose you. Francis's hands shook as he handed back my phone. Why are you telling me this? Because you came here thinking you were the victim of circumstance, that if you could just talk to Becca, you could make sense of it. But there's no sense to make. She used you. You used her. You both destroyed innocent people chasing something that was never real. What do I do now? His voice broke. You face the consequences, I said. You deal with the criminal charges, the divorce, the fact that your children don't respect you. You rebuild from nothing, and you hope that someday, years from now, you become someone worth knowing. That's not possible, he said. Then you live with that, I replied. But you don't come back here, and you don't contact Becca, and you don't pretend you were anything other than two selfish people who hurt everyone around them. I closed the door in his face, watched through the window as he sat in his car for 10 minutes, crying. Then he drove away, and I never saw him again. Inside, Aria was standing by the stairs, holding her phone. Got all of that, she said quietly. He admitted to everything. Don't post it, I said. He's destroyed enough. Let him disappear. She nodded, deleted the recording, and came to stand beside me. Mom texted me this morning. Said she wants to meet for coffee, explain things. Do you want to? No, Aria said. Maybe someday, but not now. Right now, I just want to be here with you and Jake. Is that okay? That's perfect, I said, pulling her into a hug. That's more than okay. For months later, the cottage looked different. Fresh paint on the deck, new furniture in the living room, photographs of just the three of us replacing the family portraits that had included Becca. Aria was starting her senior year. Jake was settling into high school, and I was learning how to be a single father who didn't have to pretend everything was fine. The divorce had finalized in September. Becca got her personal belongings and her car, nothing else. The prenuptial agreement held up perfectly in court, the judge noting that financial fraud and asset misuse during infidelity triggered the forfeiture clause without ambiguity. She'd lost her therapy license permanently, her practice closed, her professional reputation destroyed by the viral video that still circulated online as a cautionary tale. She was working as a receptionist at a dental office now, living in a studio apartment 40 miles away. Amanda made her sign a payment plan for the $15,500 a month for 30 months. Every payment was a reminder of what she'd done. I heard through mutual friends that Francis's criminal trial was pending, that Elena had remarried already, that his kids had legally changed their last names to their mother's maiden name. He'd become a ghost, erased from the lives he'd destroyed. As for me, I was sitting on the dock on a Saturday afternoon in October, watching the autumn sun turn the lake golden, when Elena Hampton's voice came from behind me. Dan? Hope I'm not intruding. I turned, surprised. She looked different than I remembered, lighter somehow, like she'd shed a weight. Elena, what are you doing here? In the area of visiting friends, she said. Thought I'd stop by, see how you were doing. Hope that's okay. Of course. I gestured to the spot beside me. How are the kids? Good. Really good, actually. They're in a new school in Portland, making friends, getting therapy. Lily's talking about college already. Owen joined the soccer team. She smiled. They ask about Arya and Jake sometimes. I think they bonded over the trauma. Arya and Lily text regularly. I admitted. They've got a group chat they call Children of Idiots. Dark humor, but it seems to help them. Elena laughed, genuine and warm. That's perfect. She paused, looking out at the water. I wanted to thank you again for exposing the truth. It hurt like hell, but it freed me from years of suspicion and gaslighting. Francis always made me feel crazy for questioning him. Turns out I wasn't crazy at all. You never were, I said. You were married to a liar. That's not the same thing. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then she said quietly, my divorce finalized last month. Mine too. September. So we're both free, she said, glancing at me. Weird feeling, isn't it? Terrifying, I admitted. I spent 19 years building a life that turned out to be built on lies. Now I'm starting over at 44, trying to figure out what's real. This is real, Elena said, gesturing at the lake, the cottage, the peace. Your kids are real. The way you handled everything with integrity and strength, that's real. The rest, we figure out as we go. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone who understood. Someone who'd walked through the same fire and come out the other side. Not a relationship. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But a connection, a possibility, a reminder that broken things could heal. Want to stay for dinner? I asked. Nothing fancy, just burgers on a grill. The kids would love to see you. I'd like that, she said, smiling. As the sun set over the lake, I realized something. Becca had tried to destroy everything we'd built, but she'd only destroyed herself. The cottage was still standing. My kids were still strong, and I was still here, learning to build something new from honest foundations. It wasn't the life I planned, but maybe, eventually, it would be something better.